So I've started a new project here so we can look at a few other things like additional tweening techniques and ways to fix the problems when things don't move the way you think they should. So if you remember on that animating the blob to crawl across the screen we did, it's actually, the program doesn't see that as a blob. It just sees a shape that you draw in one frame and then a shape you draw later on, and it tries to find a good way between those. So it doesn't just have to be a shape moving around. If, for example, we were to make like a green rectangle here on this frame, and then we add in some frames down here so we can move along here, and we go right here at a second or so and we add a blank keyframe so that now we can add a different shape like an orange circle over here. We've got the green square there, orange circle there, and if we do a shape tween, it's going to try to find the best way between those two shapes, which allows you to create some kind of fun transitions and cool looking things. But because the program thinks this way, it doesn't say, oh, here's an object, this is a person's head that I'm going to try to move. Instead it sees, this is a shape, this is a shape, I'm going to try to find the best way to put them together. You can sometimes end up with some weird things going on. So I'm just going to turn that off for a second and add a new layer. So imagine that we're trying to make like a mouse, a talking mouse. And we go in here with our pen tool because we're so good at it now. We've mastered this very useful tool. So we go in here, we curve to make a nice smile. I hold down Alt to put this down where it needs to be. And just continue to draw the mouth around. We connect it. Boom, this could work as a mouth, right? And then we color it with some mouthy color using the paintbrush. Boom. So we just want to animate this mouth to talk. So maybe half a second down the line, we need the mouth to be kind of closed. It's in the process of closing. So we go there, we insert a keyframe, not a blank keyframe because we want to keep this shape in there. And we go in with our sub-selection tool so we can edit each of these points. We make the mouth kind of close up. We have to shrink down these handles so we can adjust that smooth curve. So the mouth is closing, right? It's open there, it's closed there. And let's see what it does when we add a shape tween to go between the two. Something weird happens to this corner right here. Instead of the mouth just opening and closing, there's this funky twisting going on because the program doesn't quite know what to do with it. So there are ways to kind of fix that. We're going to go up to Modify, into Shape, and we're going to add a shape hint to kind of teach the program how we want it to go. So when you do that, all of a sudden you have like this little A in a circle, and we're going to drag that up. Oh gosh, sorry, we want to be first off on the first layer. We are. So we're going to drag that A up to the corner that we're having a problem with and let it go. And then we're going to go to the next picture, the next frame, and you'll see that it's guessed that that corner is now clear over here, which is wrong. And we're just going to tell it, nah, the corner is still there. We're going to mark the same place in both frames. So now, our mouth is moving correctly. Yay. And we can animate it that way. So that makes things a lot easier, being able to add these shape hints in wherever you need them to be. And one more thing that you're going to need to know as we get into using the bone tool next video is that there are a couple different ways to look at these shapes. So this is a manipulable shape that you can go in and you can still click parts of it and you can move it around. But what if you need it to be something like a hairstyle on a character that can move around easily but isn't going to change shape, and you want to be able to do that in a more easy way? You can right click on things using the selection tool and you get convert to symbol. So once we've turned this into a symbol and given it a name, it's more of a picture that we can animate to move around, but we can no longer have its shape change. And sometimes that's helpful when you don't want the shape to change over time. Like for example, if I were animating a box, we put this box in there and we want it to go start like this, but once it gets over to this frame, we want the box to have turned on its side, right? So let's just steal this box to make sure it's the same size and shape. I just copied it. We're going to go over here and we're going to paste it in the place it was. And the transform tool, or the free transform tool, is super useful for being able to rotate things around and change their size and dimensions and skew them and do all kinds of great things like that. So that's what we're going to use to make this box roll up onto its side. This is our center pivot point. It rotates around that point. If I want it to rotate around this point, for example, I can scoot that down there and it'll rotate around that point. So I want my box to roll up onto its side like this, and in the next little bit I'll have it roll down. So what happens here is, wait a second, my box goes in the wrong direction and it seems to shrink a little bit in the middle as it travels. That's not right. So by taking this shape and turning it into a symbol like box, we can be assured that during our animations it's not going to change shape. It's not going to try to figure out what the heck is going on. It still is rotating in the wrong direction, but we can help that with some more of those shape hints. We can tell them where to go and figure that out. Perfect. Next video we're going to work on the bone tool, so make sure you've got a good handle on how to animate these shapes, and then I'll meet you over there.